Hello! Welcome to another exciting episode on DNA Hardwired, common sense turned upside down. My name is Pop, and as usual, with me is my co-host, Jackie. Last week, we discussed homelessness after we took a break from our discussion on parenting. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to, go ahead and pick back up on parenting this week. Last week we had talked about homelessness. As a matter of fact, we had a guest on, Diane, and she shared a lot of her personal experience, life journey, being homeless for about 2 or 3 years. As a matter of fact, she was pretty young too, at 22 years old. It was a really, really interesting episode, so I strongly encourage you to check it out. We discussed some specifics about homelessness, like the definition, different types of homelessness, reasons people become homeless, and what this present administration is doing about the homeless situation, and much, much more. So I'd strongly encourage you to check it out. I think it was pretty interesting. And again, like I said, on this episode, we're going to continue talking about parenting. I was talking to Jackie about this, and we both agreed that we thought maybe we were going to do 1 or 2 episodes and it was going to be easy peasy, because he and I, we were both parents and we're great parents. And for us, it was easy. It was easy peasy, right, Jackie?
Hell no.
So, yeah. Yeah. So we realized that no, it was not easy peasy. Parenting, I know you've heard people say this, it's one of the hardest jobs you'll ever have. And there's so much truth to it. And so yeah. Also, we want to remind you too. Due to the nature of this episode, we like to remind folks and make it perfectly clear that at this time, this is not a therapy podcast. In the typical sense of medical or mental therapy. Hey, me and Jackie, we know a lot about a lot. We've got some counseling background, counseling experience. But we're not PhDs or MDs or any other kind of Ds, so we just want to make sure that you're aware of that. The information that we're discussing is really just kind of therapeutic in nature and informational. But if you really feel that you need some assistance in this particular area, we strongly encourage you to talk to your parents, talk to some other folks that you respect, who are parents and seem like they've done a pretty good job, or seek some professional advice. There's a lot of good resources on the internet too. Again, with the internet, you always got to be careful about your sources. But check out some reputable sources out there on the internet, and there's a lot of them that can help you with this subject. Comments, Jackie, brother?
Hey, just to piggyback. We're not professionals in that sense. Go seek professional help. Pop said we're not any of them D's. I'll say we kind of like the educated dummy in the group.
Yeah.
Somebody gave us some education to a degree, but not in this space right here. So
right.
We're bringing this as entertainment, and maybe it exposes our conversation. It helps you to open up something in your life that you can go see help to get over, or to overcome, and learn how to deal with better.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Right.
Better together than we are apart.
Right. And you just hit on something too about opening up. This might be an opportunity for you to, talk to your children, or have your children talk to you about some of the things that we're going to be discussing. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on this parenting thing. I like to go ahead and go over a recap, because I know there's a lot of folks they're not checking out. I hate to tell you this, brother Jackie, but they not keeping up with us, man. Every episode, I know they're not. They slipping and sliding, and so
of course,
yeah. So that they don't miss some things that might be important. I'm just going to do a really quick recap on some of the things that we've covered so far as parenting goes. We talked about there's primarily 4 different parenting styles. Authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, neglectful, and we agreed that authoritative type of style is probably one of the best. And
Correct. It gives the most balance. It gives the most. I think it provides the most balance.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Um, we discussed some of the most common day-to-day issues that parents and their kids face and have to deal with in life. We talked about communication, and we felt that open and frequent communication really helps foster a strong parent-child relationship. So that's very important. Like in most relationships, communication is important. We talked about discipline, and it was important to set limits, set boundaries, and enforce those limits and boundaries. Label the behavior of label behavior, and don't be labeling the kid. Don't be calling them name calling. I can remember some of the names my mama assigned to me. They weren't very nice, but label the behavior.
Correct.
Yeah.
That'd be called child abuse these days.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And we talked about, as far as discipline goes, about whether or not there should be a degree of fear in our kids. And me and Jackie both agreed that, there needs to be a healthy dose of fear, not terror, but a healthy dose of fear. That along with that fear comes a degree of respect. And we both agreed that that's what appears to be missing today in parenting. These kids today, they lack fear. They don't think the stove is hot. They got to touch it. They got to touch it for themselves, And healthy. Yeah.
As we say, they don't believe fat meat is greasy. That's what it is.
They don't believe it. They don't believe it.
They don't believe fat meat is greasy. So, and that part of that is because society has taught these kids, these children. I do not know with the kids. That they taught these children that there are no consequences to their actions.
Ain't that the truth?
We have adults out here that don't believe that there should be consequences to your action.
Absolutely.
And that's not how life works.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And
some consequences, unfortunately, they may be illegal.
Yes.
The person could be wrong for the consequences of your actions.
Right.
And two things can be true at the same time.
Right.
You need to learn consequences, and some things are illegal. Right. So they are wrong for doing it, but at the same time, there are certain things you shouldn't have done either.
Right. But I think that's the key that you point out. A lot of times, kids, there's no fear because there really aren't any consequences. And we ended our last episode on parenting talking about children, having chores. That's another thing. A lot of times, parents don't assign, children chores and that type of thing. It's very important that they that happens. Because assigning them chores helps teach them responsibility, independence, self-esteem. Helps teach them a good work ethic also, because we talked about that we felt that at a certain age children should end up getting jobs too. I think one of the things that happens with parents is that they in their mind they think that certain things have to wait until a child becomes a certain age, like chores or having little small jobs. They think that once the kid gets to be a certain age, all they got to do then is tell them, okay, now I need you to start doing dishes. I need you to start taking out trash. I need you, when they become 12 or 13 or 14. And then the kid, they don't know what that means. They've never done that before. So now all of a sudden they think you're punishing them, because you're asking them to help around the house and do some of these chores that they can do. Or when they become old enough to where they can go out and get a job, 15, 16 years old, 17, 18, they can get a little part-time job or whatever. Again, they think this is some kind of punishment. So these things that we're talking about, you kind of got to ease these kids into this early on and don't wait too late. But as far as jobs, when children are old enough and you think they're mature enough, look at them getting a little small job, babysitting, cutting grass, maybe house sitting, walking the dog or whatever. Some of these situations, a kid can, as early as 14 or 15, they can get these jobs out there with certain little small businesses. And so, encourage them to do that. I think that's where we had left off our last episode on parenting. We were talking about jobs. Any comments, Jackie, you want to add on that?
I think what you're saying, well, better yet, what we're landing on is that we have to start early teaching the lesson of responsibility with our children. You have a responsibility. That's what a job does. That's what teaching them chores do. You are, even in the house, in the home, like you are a part of the family. Yeah, I'm your parent. I'm your father, whatever. But you are a part of the family as well, and so you have a certain weight to carry.
Yes.
And I don't think that message is relayed in that format. It goes, do as I say, do what I tell you to do, with no context surrounding why. No, right. You're part of the family. I can't clean up the whole house and clean your room too, and cook all the food and pay all the bills.
Right.
Nah. You begin to incorporate them children into the family structure.
Right.
Because I believe a lot of children feel out. They don't feel that there's a family structure, number one, but then the ones that are there, they don't feel a part of it. So it's not a cohesive unit.
Right. And I'd like to. I had a conversation with a friend yesterday, and excuse me, it was Friday. And we were talking about parenting. I was discussing this particular episode that we were covering on this podcast, and we both come from the same generation. I'm a little older than him, but still came from the same generation. And me and Jackie talked about this a little bit also. But I really I find it interesting and confusing, why young parents who felt that their parents did a pretty good job raising them, but yet they won't seek counsel from these parents or accept counsel from their parents when raising their own kids. I find that interesting. I also find it interesting that it seems like, and I think I'm sounding like my mama now and people of her generation, but I'm going to say it anyway. But it seems to me like as each generation goes along, we as parents, we are failing in our responsibility more and more as parents. Like you was talking about, Jackie, about discipline and those types of things, setting examples and those types of things. So what happens is we as young parents, we're raising these kids, and where do most parents get their knowledge and experience from parenting? They get it from their parents. So if you have a parent who don't know or have the experience of being a good parent, they're not going to be setting a very good example for their offspring, for their kids. So now you got these 22, 23, 24-year-old kids having kids, being bad parents, and they're raising these kids who will one day be parents. And so it's like, as each generation goes along, this parenting thing is getting worse and worse. So that's a concern. That's a real concern that I have as far as parenting goes right now. Anything you want to add, Jackie?
Well, nah, I'm gonna sit on the sideline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we got plenty of time, so if it comes up again, we'll talk about it. But
it'll come up.
Yeah. So on this episode, we're going to pick up and we're going to start talking about school and education. You would think, kids going to school and receiving an education, you would think that would be understood and accepted, as something that needs to be done. It's a responsibility. You would think that, loving and caring parents would realize that, right? But there are some parents out there who really don't value the importance of an education, and they don't allow their children, especially after reaching a certain age, they allow their children to make this important life decision. In other words, there's these kids 13, 14, 15 years old, they're deciding they don't want to go to school, and their parents are allowing them to do that. And that's just terrible, education is a fundamental human right, and it's really a necessity to ensure the opportunity for all kids to to be successful in life. It's a critical for individual development and societal progress. It provides essential academic and social skills, promotes brain development, improves future economic and health outcomes. And it also encourages and fosters tolerance and reduces inequality too. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, people, but at one time in our history, blacks were denied an education in order to help maintain the institution of slavery and for preserving, control, and justifying the belief in black inferiority. So it's very important that we all try to ensure that our kids get a proper education. Matter of fact, most countries mandate school attendance for many of those reasons that we just talked about. And America is mandated too, but at some point, parents seem to fall down on that. What are your thoughts on that, Jackie?
So, I don't think now we're talking college is one thing, but as grade school, high school, no, that's not a choice in that. You shouldn't have a choice,
right,
of whether you're going to go to school or not.
Right.
Now this is going to sound contradictory. There's some. Well, let me correct this. I know we all need education. We don't all necessarily need school. We don't necessarily need school. We need an education. And
so clarify that. Clarify that. Clarify that.
So what now?
I say clarify that.
Correct. Okay. And I normally apply this to college. Most college degrees are useless degrees. No matter what people say, we can dress it up, sugarcoat it. It's still a piece of pork at the end of the day when it comes to a pig. Most degrees in college, you don't get anything from. Medicine, law, STEM, those degrees teach you how to make money. So everyone says go to college, but they don't say go choose a major that can support you throughout your life. So with that being said, some students, some children are not college material. So why are we forcing saying everyone needs college? No, they don't necessarily need college. They need education. So go learn a skill set that can take care of you.
Okay, brother.
Certification programs.
Okay,
like
brother.
RN is a certification program.
Yeah. So, okay,
HVAC
brother.
plumbing.
So
that's
here we
what
go.
I mean by that.
So here we go. Some of the things I agree with what you said, and then some of the things I don't agree. I do agree with you when you said that college is not for everybody. I firmly believe that. I think I also heard you say that if the kid is going to go to college, they need to have a goal. There need to be a specific goal as far as why they're going to college. There's something there. They need the degree. In other words, if you want to be a doctor, normally you got to have a college education. There are certain professions. If you want to attain that profession, you have to have a college degree. Now,
correct.
The part that you said about you think is just a piece of paper, I thought I heard you say something like that. For me,
no, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay,
that's not
sorry.
what I said.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What I said was, we all don't need to go to college, but we all need education, and that means education in a field or in a discipline that can take care of us.
Okay, I agree with that.
To go learn something. So an example would be, let's take the trades: plumbing, HVAC, pipe fitters, safety. All those are not degrees, but they are viable fields that a lot of people in those fields make well above $100,000 a year.
I agree with you.
You can learn that skill set and go take care of and be able to take care of yourself. Get out of mom and dad's pocket, become a productive member of society, and not be a drain on the system. That's what I'm saying overall.
Okay, I got you. I agree.
Not saying that college is a piece of paper.
Right.
Because I got it. My degree, my undergrad is business management. It's a useless degree in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I never
Right.
learned how to make money in college. I had to go learn it when I hit the workforce.
Right.
So that's all I'm saying.
I got you.
My personal experiences did come into play there.
Yeah, I agree with you that you know if you're going to go to college, you should have a goal where a college degree is a necessity. It's something that you need in order to accomplish whatever goal you're trying to seek as far as a career. I agree with you. What are your thoughts on the different type of schools prior to college? Public schools, private, charter, homeschool. What are your thoughts on those?
When I looked at the outline for the show, I was like, "You're gonna do it to me." So this is how I view public, private, whatever. If we have children, we want to put our children in the best position possible for them to be successful. Not
Agreed.
for me to get a pat on the back for how well my child is doing.
Agreed.
So now, if I had an option to send my child, or my child had an option to go to the Harvards, the Oxfords, the Yales, the Stanfords.
All right, now we're talking before that. We're talking high school below.
Okay, that's okay. Below high school.
Yeah.
I think sending your children, if you have the option to send them to a private school, I think overall potentially that's a better option.
I agree with that.
Why.
If you got that option, if that's a viable option for you, I agree with you.
So, with that being, why I think that's a viable option, because you have more control over picking the curriculum. You can choose the school at that point based off of what you think is in the best interest of your child. Public school is a catch-all. So you're going to get everything that comes with a public school. Now, are there successful people that come out of public schools? Absolutely.
Most people that are successful, I guarantee you, most people that are successful come from public schools.
I'm gonna give you that.
Okay.
And most people that aren't successful come from public school. It's a numbers thing, not as a systematic thing right there. Most successful people and non-successful people come from public schools.
I agree with that.
Because most people go to public school.
I agree with that.
So, with that being said, if I'm sitting here making a choice where to send my child, if I can send them to private school and control that narrative, what they are taught, what they are exposed to, I'm going to choose the environment that I have some control over.
Yeah, and so I think we both agree. I think we both agree that if we actually had the choice, and it was viable for us, that we would choose the private school. And I think most caring parents, concerned parents who are concerned about their children's education, and they understood the difference between public, private, charter, homeschool, I think that they would probably also agree with that and pick a private school. Let's go over some things about the different schools though. Public school. Public schools, they offer diversity and no cost education. No direct cost to the parent. Public schools build social skills, has a wide range of extracurricular activities. The education is community focused, has mandated support for special needs, fosters social equity and community strengths. Resources aren't as good as a private school though, right? So based upon those points that I went over, the only one that I can see that might be a drawback would be the resources aren't as good as a private school, and that's a pretty big one. But the resources aren't as good. But the other things I think are positive factors for attending public school. Any comment on those things?
Not as much.
Yeah, I mean it's
social
hard.
Skills.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to argue that those are not positive qualities of school, you know. But again, let's look at a private school. What does a private school offer? Private schools provide personalized learning and smaller classes, but you know there's a fee. There's a fee that comes directly from the parent, and in most cases, it's probably going to be expensive too. It's not going to it's not going to be a small amount of money that we're talking about. So that's going to eliminate. Yeah, that's going to eliminate a lot of folks from having the opportunity to send their kids to a private school. But for those that can, it's definitely probably the best option. The private school has better resources. You can't argue with that, right? Better resources, better so than public schools. If you plan on sending your kids to college, it would definitely help with that for college preparation. Does focus on character and life skills, but generally it offers less racial and socioeconomic diversity, and really there's a higher level of racial segregation too. So if those things don't mean a whole lot to you, then again, still the private school probably would be the way to go for you. So definitely some advantages. But there's also, just like with the public school, there's probably some disadvantages to attending a private school. But there are options.
Of course.
And depending on your financial situation, that's going to play a big role in it. But if you can afford, without a doubt, I'd agree and say that the private school is the way that's the way I'd go. But I was poor. I couldn't send my private school never entered my mind. I'm going to be honest with you, with my kid. So. But any comments on that, on the private schools?
I had a close family member that went to a private school. And the mindset that my family member had from being in school, it was different. It was, I can really accomplish anything that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that being said, it's like, okay, that's what I gathered that came from that private school education.
Mm-hmm.
It was more focused on the individual.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't a catch-all.
Mm-hmm.
The socialization was enhanced as opposed to was the tractor, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So I would agree. I don't have an issue with private school, and everyone can't afford it. The majority of people can't afford to send their children to private school.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Right.
So, but I just know from my family member that I'm talking about, they were, they to a degree they thrived in private school.
Right. Okay. Then there's this charter school thing. I remember years ago when charter school first came out, I had a very negative feeling about charter schools. Because to me, in a way, it was just another form of a private school. But I think it gave the impression that, how should I say this, that it was more affordable, so to speak. And I guess it is more affordable than a regular than a regular private school. It is more affordable, and it does offer some of the benefits that a private school offers. Things like there are smaller classes. You got parental choice. And so again, like I said, they offer a lot of the same advantages of a private school, and it's tuition free, but funding is taken from a variety of sources. That was the thing that concerned me most when private schools first came out, because not private but charter schools, because my understanding was that what they did was, so if you took a child out of a public school, the funding that normally would be assigned to that public school for that child now went to that charter school. So what you have is you have a situation of a public school that's already suffering due to poor funding, and now you're taking more funding from that school and directing it to more of a private school look, right? And so what happened with these charter schools, at least with public schools, within every in the district, you got these public schools where I remember when I was growing up, there was 2 or 3 public schools within walking distance from my house, right? Whereas with private schools and these charter schools, they're not on every corner, so to speak. So when you got some of these kids, and this is what concerned me, you got some of these kids in these poor neighborhoods, and these parents have more of an opportunity now to send them to a private-looking school. They want to do that because, again, we've already agreed that private schools are better than, it's better than public schools. So you had these parents who was going to do that if they had the opportunity. But the trouble with that was, it was a matter of, well, how do I get my kid to that school? How do I get my kid to that school? And that was one of the big issues.
Correct.
So you still had kids in certain these poor neighborhoods that still wasn't even able to take care, take advantage of the charter schools. So then what started happening was you start having these people who created these particular, they started these charter schools, and the instruction was poor. I mean, just a terrible thing for me. That was my initial impression of these charter schools. What are your thoughts on charter schools, Jackie?
I didn't know too much about charter schools growing up. As a matter of fact, I didn't know anything about charter schools growing up. It really wasn't until I got to Arizona that I even knew charter schools were a thing, if you will. So when I learned about them, I looked at charter schools as, and this is so from an ignorant standpoint because I didn't know anything. I thought charter schools were the schools that you sent children to that could not function behavior wise in public school. So I almost looked at them like it was a punishment. That y'all can't go to school over here. We're gonna go over here that has a little bit more restrictions or someone that can give you more focused attention.
I got you.
Didn't understand the difference with when it came to charter school. I learned later on that wasn't the case.
Right. Well, because it was something new, something different. Yeah. But charter schools, charter schools, it is an option now. And if the listeners, I mean, if you have personal experience with charter schools, maybe your child or you're aware of a friend or family member whose child has attended a charter school, we would really, really appreciate some feedback from you on on your thoughts on charter schools, because like Jackie, I personally have no personal experience with charter schools. Only thing I know about charter schools is is what I've been told by people, and I've heard different stories. I did do a little research for this particular episode on charter schools, and about the only thing I came away with was basically they have a lot of advantages of a private school, but also, like I was saying, it's not like they're all over the place, and there are some disadvantages to them. So, but again, it's an option. Then we have this last option, which is homeschooling. What are your initial thoughts on homeschooling, Jackie?
I agree with it. I agree with it.
Okay.
I have a couple of reasons. I think to ask a child, and a lot of parents can't do this. Let me be very clear. I understand this. A lot of parents can't do this, homeschooling children. A A lot are not qualified. A lot of them don't care to a degree. But what I know about homeschooling, it's more flexibility in homeschooling your children. So I think a young 5, 6, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old children, they need. There are moments of learning from a school environment, but they also, more importantly, I believe they need moments of play, being active, that sort of thing. So to take a child and sit them in a classroom and ask them to sit down in a room for 45 minutes to an hour, and this little joke is 8, 9 years old, I think that's a headache. I think that's a headache. So I think homeschooling gives you that flexibility if you can do it. I have a very, 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 very close friend of mine that homeschooled his 3 boys, and his son, and his sons are all different. They are different than the other children, and this is purely anecdotal. Don't get it twisted. But his oldest son, for the majority of his life, ended up going to public school. But then, as he had his other 2 sons, he began to homeschool, and so those boys turned out totally different. A lot of times, what you see, just the thought process, is in his interaction with them, what he was putting in them in the middle of schoolwork, the life lesson that was in a sense pushed on his sons, hugely beneficial. So I do believe in homeschooling. A lot of people say, well, the kids don't want the drawbacks. They're not socially skilled, this, that, and other. Yeah, if all you do is homeschool them and don't let them get out in the community, don't let them play sports, that sort of thing, yeah, it will be that way. But if you get them out so they can get some interaction with other children at their age, I don't see the issue there. I don't see the issue.
Okay.
So that's my opinion. I believe in homeschooling.
Okay. Yeah. And
as far as my daughter, I wanted my daughter to be homeschooled, to be honest with you. I really did.
Mm-hmm. And homeschooling, just like public, private, charter, they all have their pros and cons, and each family is going to have to figure this out, see which thing might work better for them. With homeschooling, one of the things you got to consider is, I don't know how well homeschooling is going to work for a single parent unless they rich. And if they rich,
it's not going to work.
Yeah,
it's not going to work.
Yeah,
unless you're rich, it's not going to work.
Yeah. So finances. Yeah. So finance is one of those areas that just pops up that you really got to consider. So finances. But like you said, there's some advantages. It allows for a lot of flexible environment, safer environment, no bullying and that type of thing. And you mentioned this. I think it can create a stronger family bond. But there's less structural social interaction with other kids, so that could possibly be a disadvantage. There's a challenge too for providing specialized resources and extracurricular activities. They say too that there's a possibility of parental burnout. Trying to teach your own kid. One of my problems I have with homeschooling is I question the quality of instruction. Now if the parent has some teaching experience or something along those lines, I'd feel a lot more comfortable than just someone deciding, with no instructional experience at all, teaching experience at all, just deciding all of a sudden they're going to homeschool their kids. That would be an important issue for me. And that's what I usually think about when I think about homeschooling is, what are the qualifications of the instructor? Are they really qualified, to be a teacher? So again, though, homeschooling is an option, and, it would be good for you as a parent to look at each and every one of those options and evaluate for yourself. Don't let me and Jackie try to convince you one way or the other. We're just giving you information on all of the choices that you have, the pros and cons. But in the end, it's up to you as a parent to make that decision for you and your family in your child. So please just keep that in mind. We're not trying to push one way or the other. Okay. Hopefully you understand that. Thoughts, Jackie?
Yes. To piggyback on what you just said, when I even piggyback, it's almost on the opposing side of that. See, when you speak to the qualifications, see, I'm qualified because I know I'm qualified because I know my child. So based off to a degree, based off of that, is if I'm willing to undertake homeschooling my child, for the most part, I'm locked in on teaching my children. I don't need to go sit in a 4-year university to go get a teaching degree to be able to teach my children.
Well, let me get.
I think that's part of. I think that's part of the problem.
Let me give you an example.
Because
let me give an example of what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'd be a terrible homeschooling parent, brother. Let me tell you something. I graduated from high school. I graduated from high school, but math, I can barely spell the word. How am I going to teach my child math when I don't know? I know how to add, multiply, divide, subtract. That's it. I don't know nothing about I can't even pronounce algebra. So that's just one area that I'm terrible in. Now maybe that's what we need to do too. We need to decide on what should be the requirements for a decent grade school, middle school, high school education for a child. What should some of the requirements be? Should a good grasp of math be one of the requirements for being able to go through those schools and graduate? What do you think? Do you think a person should be able to have a good grasp of math once they complete their education?
You got to have a foundation of it, but you don't need to go have a degree in mathematics.
No, I'm not saying a degree. I don't have a degree in mathematics.
Well, no. I don't need an over amount of education to teach math, because just like any teacher, you don't have to have a math degree to teach elementary school math. There's a curriculum that you follow with homeschooling, and the state and who I'm talking about, a close friend of mine. He homeschooled in Gilbert. He lived in Phoenix. What he had to go through to be able to teach his children is very strenuous. It's not like you just go down there and say, I'm gonna homeschool my kids, and they say, okay. No, you got to go through a little thing, and then there's a whole community out there. So there's a support system there around that surrounds that community that are homeschooling their children. So you don't need to know everything about the subject. There's a curriculum that you follow, just like there's a curriculum when you're sitting in public schools that you follow as well.
Well,
and you can educate yourself on these things.
Well, again,
the teacher that's teaching math in the 6th grade didn't have a math degree. They had a degree, and then when they got a teacher certification. That's how it works. You get a teacher certification. You got to have a degree, but your teacher certification is outside of said degree.
Do you have to have a teaching certification to homeschool your kid?
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
Don't have to.
Okay.
But
So this is my thing.
You don't have to have a teacher certification. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Don't have to have a teacher certification, but you do have to go through certain steps to be able to teach your children at home.
Well,
it's almost the same. It's almost the same thing. A teacher certification, I think, is if I'm not mistaken, it's a 2-year part. It's almost 2 years part of a 2-year window part of that program as you get getting your degree. So it's wrapped up in the bachelor's degree.
Well,
however,
maybe homeschooling for me was like charter schools for you, not having a really good understanding of it. And so that's something that would be on my part. That was just my thoughts on homeschooling. Is that would be my main concern, would be the quality of the instructor. But But like you're saying now, hey, they have to go through certain requirements and, meet certain requirements. So that would be cool. Okay. All right.
And the
Go
other
ahead.
side of that,
Go ahead.
the younger the student, being the elementary, the more strenuous that teaching certification is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
all right. Again, these are all options. You as the parent, check them out. Do your own research, and whatever you guys as a family come up with, then go with that. And it will be good, like Brother Jackie said. He knows someone who actually their child was two of them anyway, was homeschooled. It would be good to talk to some folks who are actually involved in that process. Same thing with charter schools, public school, private schools. Just get some feedback. The resources and information is out there for you. You just got to take advantage of it. All right, Brother Jackie, what we're going to
not to jump on another subject, but even on the individual I'm talking about, his three sons, the oldest graduated college, Texas, the youngest graduated college in Texas. The middle one, his youngest son is on the full ride to Northwestern.
Uh-huh.
If anybody knows about Northwestern, that's part of if they're not Ivy League, they're right there at the Ivy League level in this country when it comes to colleges and universities.
Gotcha.
So it literally worked out.
Well, good.
But that doesn't mean it's going to work out for everybody.
That's true.
At the end of the day, I'm not trying to say his experience would be your experience by no stretch.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to move on to another subject here as far as parenting goes. And we just simply call it diet, right? Diet for your child. The majority of American children, like their parents, have poor quality diets. More than half of kids, approximately 56%, are eating meals low in nutritional value but high in salt, sugar, processed food, and really they don't eat enough vegetables. This type of diet really creates a high risk for diabetes, heart problems, high blood pressure, and obesity. Many families have children overweight, and in many cases they're obese. Many parents are setting a bad example by being overweight and eating unhealthy food themselves. I know a lot of parents don't want to hear that, especially if you're guilty of this, but this is the truth. These are the facts. Poor diets established in childhood really create health issues, and healthcare costs over the child's lifetime. And we just don't take that in consideration, what we're doing to these children over a lifetime. Diets established in childhood and adolescence most often persist through life and makes a big difference in their kids' lives, the rest of their lives, their whole life. On average, kids are eating worse diets than adults, and this is likely because we older folks, we grew up in a less processed food environment. As it is,
Correct.
it's recommended you focus on buying more fruits and vegetables, prepare dishes that contain nuts, yogurt, and other healthy foods. I know this sounds foreign to the average person a lot of times. And me personally, I'm going to make a judgment. Some people say, well, you shouldn't judge. No, we all judge, and I'm going to make a judgment right now. For me personally, I really question your love for your child if you're managing your child's diet to where they're overweight, and in many cases they're obese. It's not like you can't see it. So yeah, I'm making a judgment. It's a harsh judgment, but that's how I see it. And if you see it differently, then okay, let me know. But again, unless it's something that's genetically related or some other health factor that's causing your child to be overweight and obese, it's you as a parent. You're the one that's controlling that child's diet for the most part, and you need to take steps to deal with that. And again, if you yourself is there's one thing. I mean, especially when we get a little older, we're going to put on a few pounds. That's normal. But when you get to the point where now you're considered obese yourself, and now you have a child who's following in your footsteps, and you yourself know that that's not healthy. Chances are you've got problems with diabetes and heart problems and other things. How much do you love your child if you are creating a situation to where they're going to fall into that same situation possibly for their whole life? How much love is that? So, yes, that's a judgment on my part. I'm being harsh, but I'm trying to be factual about this. It really hurts me to my heart when I see a child and they're overweight and then their parents are also overweight. That bothers me. To me, that should be classified as child abuse, and I think the authorities should step in just like they would if they see you out in the street smacking your child upside the head or hitting them with something. At least if you knock them upside the head or whatever, they'll probably eventually get over that. But some of the things that you're doing as far as their diet goes, they'll die with that. And so that's the way I feel about that. I don't know your thoughts, Jackie, on diet.
Let me ask you this. Now, some of this, what you're saying, it comes from a lack of knowledge. You know.
Now, what do you mean? Now, what do you mean when you say lack of knowledge? Lack of knowledge on whose part? The parents?
Lack of knowledge on the parents' part.
Now, what part do you think is lack of knowledge? What do you mean? Like parents, the average parents, like? the average.
What, hold on.
Go ahead.
Yes. Guess what?
Go ahead.
Let me say this.
Go ahead.
Pop, I get where you're going. I've been around you for years. You work out. You. Hey, for the audience, he does not look. Pop don't even look 55. So let's stop this. Is that because he's in the gym every day? Now, you're aware of what you put in your system. So am I. But I do understand that there's segments out here of our population that do not understand what a healthy diet looks like.
Jackie.
And so
Jackie.
I'm not giving.
Jackie.
Hold up.
Do they understand? Do they understand what obesity look like? Do they understand that?
Guess what, Pop? You know that's a rabbit hole that I'm willing to go down if you're willing to go down it.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. In our community, in the black community, the average woman in our community is 5'4", 187 pounds. And got the audacity to say, I look good.
Delusional.
No. Okay, call it what you want. That don't change that perception.
But this is what we're talking about. This is what we're trying to confront. At least I am. This is what I'm trying to confront. People's delusions.
And I'm not giving a pass on any of this.
Right.
Let me be very clear. This is not be given a pass. But when you get on that scale and it says to be continued, you're the problem.
I agree.
When you get up in the morning and you're eating a bunch of processed sugar, processed food, like that's the problem. But by default, you're feeding that to your children. I tell people when I go to the grocery store, the healthy food is on the outside of the aisles. Mm-hmm. The produce section, the meat section, all the processed foods on it is for the most part is in the aisle.
Yeah,
that's where most people shop.
Yeah,
they don't sell in the produce section, in the healthy section. And I grew up on the farm, so I eat everything, but I eat all the vegetables, this, that, and other. That's probably the reason why I stay small. One of the reasons that contributes to the reason why I stay small. Mm-hmm. So, we got it. As parents, we have to go out and educate ourselves. We got to go learn the uncomfortable stuff.
And you know what, Jackie? You know what, brother Jackie? If the parent feels that that's okay for them, it's like we got parents out here who abuse alcohol, they abuse drugs, whatever. Okay, if they want to do that for themselves, I'm not going to fault them. But when it comes to your child, I have a real problem with that. And that's my issue, is that when you do that, when you hurt your child like that, when you abuse your child don't know any damn better. Now they don't know better. They do need to be educated. Go ahead.
You and I agreement on this. I've said this for years. I question any love that a parent has for their child when they're not working to put that child in the best position possible for their overall well-being.
Yes.
So you and I on the same page there.
Yes. Yes. And earlier I was talking about how, each generation things kind of change, and you kind of mentioned this. This is one of those things that's changed. Like I keep saying, I'm an old fella. I come from a long time ago, and I do remember in that black neighborhood that you were talking about, it was very rare, first of all, to see someone overweight, and then even rare to see them obese. And so now in our neighborhoods, that's very common. It's almost rare. That's right. It's almost rare to see some of us in healthy shape as far as physical appearance. But go ahead.
Watch this. I'm from down south, and
Lord.
And I've said this right here. There's a guy. If I took a woman home around my older aunts back in the day, they was like, "Girl, you need to put some weight on."
Yes.
You need to eat a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, in our community, it's rare to see a woman with a collarbone, and that's that. And guess what? I'm gonna trigger a lot of people when I say that.
Right.
It's rare to see a sister with a collarbone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that means you're weighing too much.
Yeah.
That means you're eating too much.
Yeah.
Your body is not a reflection of how much time you spend in the gym.
And
your body is a direct reflection of what you're eating.
And for the people might be thinking Jackie's been a little harsh, I'm right along with the brother when it comes to that. We need to check ourselves. We need to check ourselves when it comes to our diet, and especially what we're doing to our kids. I've got no compassion for you. None. Zero. Zilch.
And I'm going to say this. I'm going to go a step further. If you can't love me broke, don't ask me to love you fat.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to differ just a little bit with Brother Jackie on this one. I'm going to differ just a little bit. Me personally, and I think Jackie's this way too. Me personally, if you're a woman and you're a little bit overweight, just a little bit overweight, I personally don't have a problem with that. Me personally. There are some very attractive women that I've seen in all communities, not just ours, but in all communities. I've seen some very attractive women who take care of themselves, right? And they're overweight. But when it comes to obesity, that's for me anyway. I'm different. Now I got an uncle, or had an uncle. He loved obese women. And I know that there's some men out there, but generally that's not it. And you're not trying to live to please some man too. I also get that. Okay, I understand that. You're not living your life to try to please some man as far as how you look. I get that. But it's deeper than that. It's about you. It's about your health. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Now that's what you pop.
Oh, okay.
When you said you're not out here trying to live to please some man, I'm like, you better if you want it.
well, but you see, and that's the thing, though. And that's the thing. I think a lot of, and we're getting on you women. We know there are fat men out there too, okay? And I use that term fat. Some people don't like that term, but it's fat, okay? There's some fat men out there too. Now, I get it. You know, you don't want to take responsibility for your appearance and your health, because it's not just your appearance. Your health is figured into this equation. You know, and so you don't want to take ownership of that. You don't want to take responsibility of that. So you make these excuses, like you just said. You know, hey, you know, I'm not doing this for no man. Well, you shouldn't be. Truthfully, you shouldn't be doing it for no man or for no one else. You should be doing it for yourself. We're talking about parenting. You should be doing it for your children also, because again, for me, the main issue with your weight, your diet, is your health. I mean, if you could eat anything you wanted as much as you could, get as big as you want to get, and then not have a health issue, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you. Jackie was talking about me going to the gym and this and that. I'm going to tell you, I'm not doing it because I'm worried about what women might think or other men might think. I'll be honest with you. I'm trying to live as long as I can, as healthy as I can. That's my goal. Now, we don't all have the same goals, but that's my goal. And so when it comes to your diet, your children's diet, please reconsider. Think about that. Think about the harm that you're doing to yourself, you're doing to your children, you're doing to your family. This is a big issue. Now, me and Jackie, the last 10 to 15 minutes, we've been talking about parenting and diet. We spent more time talking about diet than in education. Okay? Because to me, if I had a choice between having a good education or having a good diet, I'm taking that good education. That good diet. I'm taking that good diet. That's me. But anyway, I'm sorry, Brother Jackie. Look like we're running out of time. Like I said, we're not going to get through everything because we want to get into some other areas. But go ahead, Brother Jackie.
No, you're right. I would prefer the healthy diet of anything. And this is my thing. If you want to eat and you got to go, and you can go pull out some food out of the refrigerator or the freezer and put it in the microwave, 9 times out of 10, it's not healthy. It's processed.
You're right.
We got to get back to putting colors in our food. The bell peppers, the onions, the fresh vegetables. We're not putting a lot of that in our food, and learn how to not cook it to death. Everything has to be fried, smothered, and all this other nonsense. No, ain't nobody trying to hear all that.
All that salt,
the cornbreads, all that. And guess what? And I'm a dude with high blood pressure. And I got diagnosed with high blood pressure, and I was running 25, 30 miles a week. And that's not even a lie. Hereditary.
Yep, but that comes into play.
But when it comes to salt, everybody says salt is bad for you. Well, the other issue is this. I bet no one goes out and Googles the correlation between sugar, what sugar does to your body. Yeah. It's a bigger problem than salt.
Yeah.
But no one talks about it because everything that is pushed on us is full of sugar.
Yeah.
It has to taste good. So the way food manufacturers make things taste good is adding a bunch of sugar. Look how much grams of sugar is in a soda.
Yeah.
And then in juice.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
full of sugar.
Yes.
So we got to educate ourselves on that sort of thing. So just like beating your child is considered child abuse, feeding them food that's not conducive to them staying alert, to them being healthy, is on the same page as being physically abusive to your child.
Absolutely.
Because you're doing it because you're feeding them a bunch of sugar out of love, don't mean that you're not hurting them in the long term.
Right.
So stop it.
Right. And you can't say you don't know, because we're telling you right now. If you listen to this podcast, we telling you. So you can't say you didn't know. And if you don't believe us, do some research. Go up there, follow up. Talk to your doctor and find out what he or she says about what we're talking about. Okay, Brother Jackie, I think what we'll do is we'll close on that note. And again, this parenting thing, man, we may have another 3 or 4 sessions on this thing. Boy, was I wrong. I thought we was going to do a little 1 and 2 and we're done, but that ain't so. This is there's a lot going on with parenting. And so again, what I would love,
I think on parenting, we could talk every week for a year, probably on parenting, because that's the foundation.
Exactly.
That's the foundation.
Exactly. And we would love. So far, we're not getting no feedback. I don't know if I'm giving the right contact information. Do I have to give you my personal phone number? No, that's not happening. That's not going to happen. Y'all be calling me up, cussing me out, leaving these nasty messages. That ain't happening. So, but if you want to write me, write us. We have a website. It's a DNA Hardwired podcast at gmail.com. Again, that's DNA Hardwired podcast at gmail.com. You can also drop us a line on Facebook. Just look up DNA Hardwired, a podcast on common sense. You can leave us a message there also. Okay, Brother Jackie, we're going to go ahead and close this thing out. Any last words here before we close out?
At the end of the day, like I said at the beginning of this thing, we're better together than we are apart. And right now, This space is to bring attention to subjects that kind of on the back burner. They're quiet subjects that we all know that are impactful, and they do move the needle in our lives. But no one is talking about it. To a degree, that's probably the reason why we're not getting too much feedback.
Right.
Because they're to a degree, they're boring subjects.
Yes.
People really don't want to hear them.
Right.
So,
but I'll tell you what.
If you're looking to change your life, a solid life. Hold on, Pop, not to cut you off.
Go ahead.
A solid life with standards, with morals, is a boring life. So you got to go get used to being. You got to go used to being in the boring space if you want to make a change.
Right. But I'll tell you, boy, I see it myself on Facebook. Those girls shaking their booties and some of the men showing their big, nice bodies and all the rest of that craziness. People talking crazy. Man, they get hit after hit, comment after. Or talking about Trump, politics. They love that kind of stuff. And in my mind, I'm thinking, of what benefit is that going to be to you and your family when you really look at it? But that's where we're at. And for the few listeners out there that's, willing to take out an hour out of their time in a week just to listen to what we got to say, and hopefully we'll be sharing some important, valuable information to you. Thank you. And so with that, Jackie and Pop, we're dropping the mic on this session. Till next week.
And you guys have a good week now. We'll talk with you next week.
Think it through, people.